Hey, I'm Shimelle and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I haven't been filming a lot for here lately, but I have a new project. Well, I'll return to an old project. That means I'm very excited to have something to share here a bit more often. So you followed along on Facebook or on my blog at shimelle.com. I have gone back to an old favorite called Best of Both Worlds, which has a shopping list for you to either go to a shop of your choice or to shop your stash for a list of supplies or kind of something that's close to them. And then throughout that next month, I use those supplies in my layouts, both here on YouTube and on Facebook Live, so that no matter which style of video you prefer, both will be available in different layouts. So I've done 2 on Facebook Live so far, at the time that I'm filming this. This one was the first one. And then this one, which is from a sketch in Scrapbook and Cards Today. And then today I am going to make a new page that focuses a lot on stamping. And I've got a stamp set from that list. And it's this one from Catherine Pooler, and it's called Oh Snap, and it has lots of cameras. So you can use this exact set, or you can use a different camera set of your own. But even if you wanted to change the motif and not have it be cameras at all, you could still totally use this technique. Now, for my background paper, I'm actually cheating a tiny bit. So I ordered 2 of one of the papers in the kits. So this is the B side to this cut apart that I've already started using, and I wanted to also show one with the B side in case this A side was not your style. But if you're using this exact paper and you have one of it and you've already cut into this side, don't panic. It's a really simple B side, so you could swap this out for just plain white cardstock or even plain gray cardstock, or you could look for something in your stash that's similar. This is literally a white background with a gray fine diagonal line. Nothing complicated there. So a white with a little bit of texture might be a good choice, but you could do this with a colorful background as well, no problem. And then I've got 2 3x4s printed on one 4x6, and I've got these cameras. And what I'm going to be doing before I do anything else is stamping loads of these cameras on pieces of pattern that I can cut out. So I've got all my scraps that I've cut into for the first 2 layouts. I've also got full sheets, so I can do that. So obviously they're all double-sided. So I've got quite a few patterns here without having to cut into anything new just yet. We'll see how I go. So first up, I don't even need that around. I need my block and I need some ink. Now I have this ink that was in the kit, so I'm going to try it with this colored ink. If the technique looks a little busy with the colored ink, then I might swap to just a plain black dye ink. But this is Coastal Storm from Scrapbook.com's Hybrid Ink collection. Ink up my camera, stamp onto different pattern papers. Oh no, I think that's going to work in the color. I don't need to go to black ink, but you could. And then just cut, and I leave a little halo, cut around each one. And they really don't have to be perfect, and cameras are a great motif to use for this because it doesn't have lots of tiny little bits that you have to get inside. Sometimes florals can get a little intense with the cutting, but this is kind of like a rounded square. So now what I'm going to do is just do lots of that. Okay, so I'm done stamping the first stamp, the first design, and let's see what I've got. I think I have 8. I went with 4 papers and I used both sides. Yeah, so I have 8 in that first stamp that I've used, but I have more. So now I'm going to repeat. I'm only going to use those 8 patterns, and I'm going to repeat that same idea, same technique with my other cameras. Now there are 4 on here. I think I'm going to start with 3 and see how much of the page that covers, and then if I want to add the 4th one, I'll add that in. Okay, fast forward through all that cutting out, and I now have 24 cameras. I've just put them to the side of my workspace in the order, like so that I have the same pattern order, and also all of the first one, which is Polaroid, and all of this little rangefinder 35mm, and then all of this other one. Yeah. Okay, so then I'm going to start to make a pattern across here, but I'm not going to glue as I go because there's going to need to be some changes along the way. So I am taking 1 from each one and going the next spot in the pattern. So now I've done 3. I need to come up and take that 4th one in the pattern. And I think I'll go with 6 across. Okay, so then this one. This one. Okay. So that's a row of 6. Then I start again. Now, that would make it so that they don't change in line. I kind of do want them to change in line. So I've got an option. I can either shift this and change the pattern over, or I could change this so that we have 5 across. I have 5 across. Let's see what that looks like. It wouldn't be the end of the world if this was just random, but I also kind of like the idea of the pattern, so that's why I'm giving it a go. Stars, wish, hearts, text, scallops, dots, dandelions, and yellow. Okay, actually, I was worried that if I ended up with 2 yellows right next to each other, I might want to swap it up, but I didn't end up with 2 yellows right next to each other. And I'm okay with this amount. I don't want it to fill my full background. I wanted to do something else at the bottom of the page. What I am going to do is move it up just a little bit, so that I've got more like a third of the page at the bottom instead of a quarter. Now, a couple things here. 1, I stamped 24 not knowing if I would put them into 6s or 5s. I think I'll put 1 more here, which would take me back to the same one that I started on. So I will add 1 more of those. Let's do that. So I've got my star paper here. And my stamp. The first stamp in the line is the Polaroid. With that same ink. So let's put this here in the middle space. Oh, that was rubbish. Let's try again. Don't get careless, Shimelle. That's much better. Okay. Cut this one out. And then I've got 25. 5 rows of 5. You too can homeschool with scrapbooking, as long as it's times tables. Okay. Now, choices. Do I want to ink these? I think it would be better to ink them. So I've got my applicator with this ink color. And just go around all these edges. Yes, and that's going to look nice and defined against that white background. Okay, next comes sticking them down, and I want to put some of them on Pop-Tarts and some of them flat. So I think what might work well is to choose one of the camera designs and then pop up all of the ones that are that stamp. I'm going to do this one. So everything else will be flat. Anything that's this Polaroid or this little 35mm. But then every time this stamp comes up, this one gets a little bit of special treatment. Yeah, something like that. Now, I think not intentionally, it all crept down a little bit further because I'm sure I got it up to where I had more like a third here, and I've crept down. I'm closer to a quarter, but it's okay. It just means that that last one may be for nothing because, look, I'm pretty sure I'm going to cover it up. But it's all right. Now, what I am going to do for the moment is take this one and its foam squares off because I think that might just get a little bit messy underneath. Now, this camera ended up looking a little bit different than all of the rest just because every time I used that pattern paper, the other ones didn't have the same color from this stripe. That's okay, because I'm going to use this one to matte the photo, and then that should bring that color scheme right there into play because it'll be somewhere else. So, like works many, many times, if there's something that feels a little bit off on your layout, just add more of that thing. Speaking of more, the crows are talking a lot more today. So today you got me with a chorus of crows behind me. You know, nature is reclaiming the city. Okay, so these are going to go down here. Oh, I did not cut that straight in any way, shape, or form. Hold up. Rookie error. Okay. And then, surprise, surprise, this is going to have Pop-Tarts behind too. Because why not? All right. And then that's going to give me this space over here to work with. I think I'm going to offset that so that this one just tucks right underneath. Then I have this space. I have whatever can go on top of the cameras. I've made a patterned background with all those different cameras. Nice and easy stamp technique of just repeating the same images on different patterns. So I have this amount of space to work with, which works really well with this cut apart because I've got that one that will fit right there. By the way, I did go ahead and put this one back in because you could see the top here, and this one, it just looked a little bit obvious that I had taken it out, like I was one short and cheating or something. I don't know. So I put it back in, but I don't really think it's a huge necessity. I think it was one of those things that was just bothering my eye. So I put it back. This, okay, there, I think I'll add, yeah, just a little bit of that turquoise ink that I used on all those other pieces to the edge here. So that'll give this something in common with all those. I want this width to be about the same as that if I can, which will bring the Y in happy right over to that mat. Lovely. Now, with this stamp set, I've got this. And do I want to build the title up here perhaps and include that there? I think that is the answer. I'm going to go with this turquoise. So the alphas that I have are the Gold Fitzgerald thickers and the Sunshine Doodlebug font in Swimming Pool, which is their turquoise. Here, I've got a last little bit of this yellow wish paper. I'm going to take the Oh Snap text piece from this set. And stamp that onto the yellow. Same ink. And then cut this out in a kind of bubble. Just round off the shape. And then I'm thinking I can make it more like a speech bubble down here at the bottom of the last letter here. Like that. Could have done with the speech bubble bit, the pointed bit being a bit wider, I think, but it'll work, it'll work. Oh, and if I had really thought it through, I would have. Okay, I'm going to take that off. I should have had it on this corner. It's the wrong direction. I didn't think that through. I was just looking at the shape of the letter and thinking that it would work well with the letter P, but it also would have worked with the letter S if I had thought ahead. Now, to make that work with the thickers next to it, I'm adding even more foam squares. So that's going to come up here. Oh, this side didn't get enough ink. Okay. And then, or maybe this one will come up here. And then there's this. Yeah, and this is going to, okay, so that's going to go up here. Then this stamp set also has a couple different little sets of lines that are meant to be like a flash on the camera. And I think just stamping this straight onto the background, which I realize is frightening when everything else is already on there. But you know, I'm bold. I'm brave. It's going to be fine. Just think this going around that corner. Yeah. Now, do I want it here too? Yes. So you could use this, you wouldn't need to use these stamps here, the ones with the little lines, necessarily with a camera, because you could put them either side of two accents or either side of a title that you want to give a little bit more weight to. I think there's actually quite a lot to be done with those simple shapes like little sets of lines. Okay, journaling's going to go in there. What about some stickers or things to dress it all up? And I've got my enamel dots. And I definitely want a little enamel dot Mickey on this, since I'm covered in Mickey here. So I need to use that middle color to have the right size to do it. So let's put it right down here. In that corner. Do another one up here just to frame it all up. But obviously, if you were not dressed in head to toe Mickey Mouse, just separate those out. Separate so you end up with a little triangle of them instead of a Mickey. You don't need to panic if there's a Mickey that does not, a Mickey does not apply to your layout. That's okay. It's really, really okay. All right. Do you want any extra little bits here? I kind of want. Do I want a little bit of polka dot coming down here? Okay, so that will go underneath here. Which then gives me this little bit to tuck somewhere. Let's tuck it under here. Oh my goodness. This is going to just be known as the crow, the crow video. And there we go. This is where I'm going to finish it. I think you could add a little bit more embellishment down here if you wanted to, but with all of this going on up here, I'm okay with that. I really like how this layering of the title came out, and I love playing with those stamps and the patterns. The other aspect, if you didn't want to put journaling down here, I think if you're using this particular set of stamps, you could also use the one stamp, the one camera that I didn't use, and make a real feature point out of it, either within the title or over here. But I don't really have room to add a big feature like that here, so I will use that stamp on a different project. But really enjoyed how this came together. I hope it gives you an idea for how you could work with your stamps and your stash, and of course your photos and stories. I'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.